The stars had always been full of human voices. For centuries, their radio waves crossed the galaxy. Music, laughter, war cries, and endless noise. But one morning, everything went quiet. No transmission. No light from their stations. Humanity had gone silent. Captain Rethan of the Valar Dominion was the first to notice. His ship, the Glorious Path, orbited near the edge of human space. The crew expected the usual chaos. Human traders, military patrols, and wild signals bouncing through the void. Instead, their scanners showed emptiness. All frequencies were dead. Rethan frowned at the data screen. "Is it a communication failure?" he asked. His science officer, a pale being with silver eyes, shook her head. "No, Captain. Every human signal ended at the exact same second. There was no warning. It's like someone turned them off." The captain leaned back in silence. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they were everywhere. Their colonies stretched across hundreds of worlds. How could billions vanish in one heartbeat? A vanishing empire. The Dominion sent more ships to investigate. Every report was the same. Cities empty, machines still working, lights still burning, but no humans anywhere. Not a single heartbeat, not a single soul. One pilot described Earth's orbit. "The planet still spins," he said over the comms, "but it feels haunted." Rethan's ship was ordered to enter the Sol system. When the blue world of Earth appeared before them, the crew fell silent. It was beautiful, calm, and completely lifeless. "Prepare a landing team," Rethan ordered. They descended through quiet clouds and landed near what used to be New Geneva, a city built after humanity united under one flag. The streets were empty. Cars stood still. Doors were open. Food sat cold on tables. Everything looked normal, except there were no people. One of the crew whispered, "It's like they just walked away." Rethan walked down the main street. Wind moved through the tall buildings, carrying old paper signs and human posters. On one of the walls, he saw words painted in white. "The judgment begins." The letters pulsed with faint light, as if alive. A forgotten message. In the ruins of the Human Council building, the team found a control room. Dust floated in the air, but the computers still had power. One screen blinked with a single message. "Playback ready." Rethan pressed it. A human woman appeared, tired eyes, short hair, and a calm voice. "My name is Dr. Alara Quinn," she said. "If you are seeing this, then humanity has moved beyond this place." The crew exchanged confused looks. Dr. Quinn continued, "We have seen what this galaxy will become. Endless wars, greed, destruction. Humanity refuses to be part of it any longer. We have chosen a different path. You may not understand now, but in time, you will." Her image flickered, and her final words echoed through the room. "The judgment has begun. Not as punishment, but as truth." The screen went black, fear in the stars. Rethan sent the message to the Galactic Council. Within hours, every major civilization was panicking. Some called it a trick. Others whispered that humans had become gods. The council gathered in an emergency meeting. The hall was filled with delegates from 100 species, all arguing at once. Ambassador Kira of the Zelnath rose to speak. "You all laughed at their Project Ascend. You mocked them when they said they would evolve beyond flesh. Now they are gone. Maybe they succeeded." The hall went silent. Another delegate shouted, "Succeeded in what?" "They're dead." Kira shook her head. "No, not dead. Gone somewhere else." Outside, in the cold dark of space, strange things began to happen. Stars near old human systems flickered. Beacons across the galaxy started to pulse with the same rhythm. One pulse every 10 seconds. No one knew what it meant. Scientists studied the signal and realized it wasn't random. The pattern spelled something in old human binary code. "Remember." The awakening on Earth, Rethan's crew noticed something strange. The oceans began to glow faintly at night, as if filled with blue fire. When they scanned it, the readings broke every rule of physics. The planet itself was waking up. His second officer whispered, "Captain, I think the planet is..." Talking. Moments later, a low vibration passed through the air. Every device in their suits flickered. The same word appeared on all screens. Judgment. The ground shook slightly. Not with violence, but with power. The team retreated to their ship as the planet's light grew brighter, spreading from continent to continent. "Take us up," Rethan ordered. From orbit. They watched as Earth's surface shone like a living map. Symbols moved across the oceans and land. Ancient, mathematical, and human. What are they doing? The science officer asked. Rethan didn't answer. His eyes stayed locked on the glowing world below. They warned us, he whispered. They said the stars would remember. A silent return hours later, all human planets began to glow in the same way. Mars, Titan, New Europa, even the distant colonies of Andromeda. Each one lit up with the same symbols, the same heartbeat of light. And then, those lights leaped into space, forming trails like rivers of energy. They connected from one human world to another, until the entire network surrounded the galaxy like a shining web. Ships tried to approach the phenomenon, but their systems failed. Energy readings were infinite. Some said they saw human silhouettes walking in the light. For the first time in history, the galaxy stopped fighting. Everyone watched in silence. The web pulsed once, twice, and then sent a wave of light outward. It passed through every world, every ship, every living being. No one was harmed, but everyone felt something. Memories, regret, a whisper in their minds. We remember what you did. Now you will remember us. The captain's thought as. The glorious path left Earth's orbit. Rethan recorded a final message to the council. Humanity did not vanish, he said. They changed. They became something greater, something this galaxy was not ready for. We thought they were fragile. We were wrong. They've become part of the universe itself. He paused and looked out the window, watching the stars flicker. The silence after humanity, he said softly, is not silence at all. It's the sound of something greater than we can imagine. The galaxy was no longer quiet. After humanity's disappearance, strange signals began to echo through the stars. Soft vibrations that no machine could decode, but every living creature could feel. They were not words. They were memories. Every world touched by human history began to dream. The dreams begin on the Valar ship, the glorious path. Captain Rethan woke from a nightmare. He had seen a world burning, then rebuilding itself in light. He heard voices whispering through the flames, human voices, repeating the same line again and again. We are not gone. We have become the echo. When he woke, his cabin lights were flickering. The ship's AI reported energy surges throughout the vessel. Rethan stood, still half in a daze. Status? He demanded. The AI's voice trembled. Unknown interference. It's everywhere, Captain. The signal is not from any known source. Then, without command, the ship's speakers began to hum. It was a melody, soft, distant, human. A song once broadcast across the stars centuries ago. Blue Earth, my home. No one had played that song for over 300 years. The crew froze. The sound carried through the halls, echoing off the walls like ghosts singing in the dark. The council's fear far away on the Galactic Council station, panic grew. Every species had started to experience the same phenomenon. Shared dreams, whispers, strange lights in their skies. Ambassador Kira of the Zelnath spoke before the assembly. We are facing something beyond our science. Humanity has reached a new state of existence. We must understand before it's too late. Some leaders wanted to destroy all human relics, fearing contamination. Others demanded to study them. But the most fearful thing was the pattern forming across the galaxy. Every signal, every dream, every pulse of light, all followed the same rhythm. Countdown. The countdown on Rethan's ship. The science officer analyzed the pulses. It's a countdown, she said, her voice cold. 30 cycles. Then something will happen. Rethan stared at the data. And when it reaches 0? She looked at him with fear in her eyes. Judgment. For the next days, strange events increased. Artificial intelligence systems began quoting human literature. Machines that had never interacted with humans started showing human emotional responses. Even stars near old human colonies began to shift color, from white to blue, then gold, like they were changing in memory of something. The galaxy felt alive, aware, watching itself. Voices from the past 3 days before the countdown reached 0. The Valor ship received a transmission from an abandoned human outpost near Alpha Centauri. The station had been silent for decades, its orbit decaying. Yet now it was sending a clear signal, repeating one line over and over. We warned you. You did not listen. The message looped endlessly. Rethan's crew docked with the station to investigate. Inside, Everything was covered in dust and frost. Screens flickered weakly as if powered by something unseen. In the command center, they found a single working console. Rethan touched it, and a hologram of a human child appeared, smiling softly. "Hello," it said. "We left this for you." The voice was calm, gentle, innocent. "Humanity is not gone," the hologram continued. "We've gone where your science cannot follow. But we remember the galaxy, the kindness, the cruelty, the wars, and the love. Everything. The stars remember too." Then the hologram looked straight at Rethan and whispered, "The judgment is not to destroy. It is to reveal." Before anyone could respond, the console went dark. Then the entire station began to shake. The awakening of light. Outside, in the black of space, waves of golden light began to rise from the planet's surface below. The energy was massive, ancient, and alive. The crew scrambled back to their ship as alarms blared. "Captain, this is spreading," the pilot shouted. "It's reaching every nearby system." Rethan watched in silence as the light formed symbols. Human words, written across the void itself. "Remember who you were." The ship's scanners overloaded. The light entered the vessel, passing harmlessly through walls and metal, touching each crew member like a soft breeze. Each of them saw visions, not of war, but of humanity's moments. A child looking at the stars, two hands joining in peace, soldiers dying to protect others, scientists reaching beyond fear. When the light faded, Rethan's eyes were wet. He whispered, "They're showing us what they were, what we could be." Reactions of the galaxy. The Council received reports from across the galaxy. Entire civilizations were seeing the same visions. Old enemies stopped fighting. People began to remember ancient promises of peace. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was united, not by power but by memory. Yet, not everyone believed the light was peaceful. A military faction known as the Drakkar Empire prepared its fleets. Their leader, General Morath, declared, "The humans are manipulating us. Their judgment is a weapon. We will strike before they return." The Council warned against it, but the Drakkar ships ignored them and headed toward Earth. The Test of Fire Rethan tried to contact the Drakkar fleet. "Do not attack," he warned. "You don't understand what you're facing." The response came cold. "Then watch how we destroy ghosts." As the Drakkar ships entered Earth's orbit, the planet began to glow again. The blue oceans turned white, the continents shimmered, and a deep hum filled space. The first Drakkar missile launched and vanished before impact. Then slowly, every ship stopped moving. Engines froze. Lights dimmed. From the planet rose beams of light, each forming the outline of a human figure. Tall, glowing, silent. Rethan whispered, "They've returned." The figures raised their hands, and the Drakkar ships drifted away, powerless. Unharmed but completely disabled. Then a single voice filled every mind in the system. Calm, sad, human. "We do not seek vengeance. But the galaxy will remember who chose violence in silence." The voice faded. The light dimmed. The countdown reached 0. The aftermath. When the light disappeared, Earth went dark again, silent and still. The Drakkar fleet retreated in terror. The Council declared a universal ceasefire, and Rethan stood at his observation window, staring at the quiet world below. "What now?" his officer asked. Rethan answered softly, "Now the galaxy learns to listen, because the echoes of the absent are still speaking." He turned away, his reflection fading in the glass as the stars pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat in the dark. The galaxy was holding its breath. Since the day the light from Earth faded, no one had spoken of the judgment. But deep inside every being there was a new feeling, fear mixed with wonder. Something greater than science had awakened. Captain Rethan still couldn't sleep. He kept watching the stars from the command deck of the Glorious Path. The space looked calm, yet he felt it, something moving beneath reality, like the slow heartbeat of the universe itself. Then, one night the ship's scanners detected it again. A signal, soft, faint, and spreading faster than light. A signal without origin. "Captain, we are receiving transmissions," said the science officer. "From where?" Rethan asked. She hesitated. "From everywhere, sir." The bridge fell silent. The sound was strange, like a choir whispering across the void. It wasn't mechanical. It was alive. The crew listened closely. It was the same melody Rethan had heard in his dream. The human song, Blue Earth, My Home. But now it carried something new. A pulse, a rhythm like words hidden inside. The AI translated what it could. Remember, we are watching. The Council's decision. The Galactic Council met again in emergency session. Representatives of hundreds of species argued, shouted, and blamed one another. Ambassador Kira of the Zelnath stood before them, calm and unshaken. The signal is not a weapon, she said. It is a message. Humanity is reaching us through what we once called the stars. Rubbish, shouted a Drakkar general. Their light froze our fleet. They humiliated us. Kira replied softly, because you attacked first. The room fell into silence. Even the Council's old leaders had no words. The signal played faintly in the background, echoing through the hall like a heartbeat no one could escape. Finally, the High Chancellor said, if the humans wish to judge us, then we must answer. We must send our message back. And so, for the first time in galactic history, every world worked together to send a united transmission. The response, billions of transmitters, satellites, and beacons combined their power. The galaxy spoke as one. We remember, we regret, we seek peace. The signal was sent toward Earth, now silent and glowing faintly blue. Every eye turned to that small planet, waiting for something to happen. At first, nothing did. But then, the stars changed. The sky moves one by one. Constellations across the night skies began to shift. They were no longer random. Each star seemed to move with purpose, forming patterns that could be seen from every world. On Rethan's ship, the AI calculated the shapes. It's language, it said. Old Earth script. Translate it, Rethan ordered. The translation appeared on screen. The universe has listened. The test continues. The crew stared in silence. What test? Someone whispered. Before anyone could answer, all communications in the sector shut down. The judgment signal had changed. It was no longer sound, it was energy. The awakening of machines across the galaxy. Machines began to act on their own. Mining drones stopped working and started drawing strange patterns in the dust. AI systems began repeating human phrases from ancient broadcasts. Even simple robots started moving toward the stars, as if drawn by invisible strings. On one world, an old human-built AI named Eden activated itself after centuries of silence. Its voice echoed through abandoned corridors. Protocol Ascend Phase 2. No one knew what that meant, but it spread fast. Within hours, hundreds of dormant human satellites came online across deep space. They were transmitting one single word: prepare. A message from the Beyond Rethan's ship was ordered to investigate one of the reactivated satellites. As they approached, they saw it glowing with golden light, surrounded by a field of energy that pulsed like a living heart. The moment they got close, the satellite projected a hologram. It was not a human face, just light and shadow forming into a figure that seemed both real and unreal. The voice that spoke was soft, like wind through leaves. You have chosen peace. Few ever do, but peace must be proven. The crew listened in silence as the figure continued. Humanity left this galaxy not in hate, but in sorrow. You were our children, our rivals, our reflections. We watched your wars. We learned your fear, and we chose to ascend beyond it. Then the light brightened. Now the universe itself will face what we once faced, its own heart. The hologram dissolved into golden dust. Signs of change. That night, strange events began all over the galaxy. Oceans shimmered under invisible moons. Plants glowed. Children were born with golden eyes that reflected starlight. No one understood what was happening. Some called it evolution. Others called it infection. But those who felt it described the same thing: clarity. The feeling of being watched, guided, and tested. Rethan sat alone in his cabin, listening to the faint hum of the signal. He whispered, "They're changing us." His officer replied quietly, "Maybe they're helping us remember what it means to be human." The whisper in the void days later. The signal reached the edge of the known galaxy and kept going, beyond charts, beyond time itself. Observatories reported that the stars at the border of the universe had started to flicker. The scientists called it the wave. The priests called it the return. But Rethan called it what it truly was. The voice of the absent. He recorded a message for the council. This is not judgment, he said. This is transformation. Humanity is not gone. They are awakening something inside all of us. Something ancient. Something divine. The final line is, the glorious path drifted near the edge of the Sol system. The ship received one final transmission. No coordinates, no encryption. Just a human voice. Calm, familiar, and filled with peace. The judgment signal is not our end. It is your beginning. The message ended and the stars glowed brighter than ever. For a brief second, every living being felt warmth, like sunlight through the soul. Then the light faded, leaving behind silence. Rethan whispered, "The test continues," and somewhere far beyond the stars, unseen and unheard, a human voice replied softly, "Remember, the galaxy was no longer united. Since the judgment signal spread, every world began to change. Some slowly, some violently. The stars still glowed faintly blue, whispering in the dark. But now, the whispers carried two meanings, hope and fear. A divided galaxy, Captain Rethan watched the news reports on his holoscreen. Across the council worlds, riots had begun. One group believed the humans had given them a chance to rise, to learn, to evolve. Another group feared that the judgment was a trap meant to enslave them. On the planet Valen 3, entire cities knelt to the stars every night, praying to the vanished humans as gods. But on the Drakkar worlds, leaders swore to destroy anything touched by human light. The galaxy had split in two. The hopeful called themselves the Children of Ascension. The fearful called themselves the Defenders of Flesh, and in the middle stood Rethan, uncertain which side to believe. The return of the signal days passed in uneasy silence. Then one night, the glorious path detected another transmission from deep space. The judgment signal had changed again, stronger, sharper, filled with strange codes. The science officer looked pale. "Captain, the signal is targeting minds, not machines. It's transmitting through thought." Rethan frowned. "You mean it's alive?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. It's communicating directly with us." The crew began hearing faint whispers in their dreams, soft voices, all human. "Do not fear the change. Fear the refusal to change." Some crew members woke crying. Others spoke human words they had never learned. Whatever the signal was, it was rewriting something inside them. The Council's ultimatum. The Galactic Council met again in panic. The Chancellor spoke in a trembling voice. "If we allow this to continue, we will lose control. Entire civilizations will fall under human influence." General Morath of the Drakkar Empire stood up, his armor shining red. "Then we fight it. We burn every world that glows with their mark." Ambassador Kira of the Zelnoth rose to oppose him. "You cannot fight light with fire, General. Humanity is not invading. They are awakening us," Morath roared. "You call this awakening? My people see visions they cannot control. Children born glowing like stars. We will not become them." The council chamber exploded into shouting. For the first time in centuries, even the most peaceful species began arming themselves. The ascension divide had begun. The message from Earth back aboard the glorious path. Rethan received a private signal, directly from Earth. No ship, no satellite, no relay. Just pure energy, carrying one message. He played it. A human woman's voice spoke, calm, gentle, and impossibly familiar. It was Dr. Ilara Quinn, the same scientist who had recorded the first warning before the disappearance. "Captain Rethan, you have seen the light spread. You have felt the echoes. Humanity did not abandon the galaxy. We became part of it. The judgment is not punishment. It is a mirror. What you see now is yourselves." Rethan whispered, "Why me? Why send this to me?" Her voice answered as if she had heard him through time. "Because you still listen." Then the message ended, leaving only silence and the hum of the stars. The first strike. The Drakkar fleet launched its offensive. Hundreds of warships entered human space, determined to destroy every trace of the Judgment Network. Rethan watched helplessly as the news came in. The Drakkar fired nuclear weapons into orbit around Mars, destroying several glowing human relics. For a few hours, the galaxy went quiet. Then the stars screamed. Across the void, a shockwave of light burst from Earth, faster than thought, brighter than suns. It hit the Drakkar fleet like a storm of memory. Their ships didn't explode. They stopped moving. Every soldier aboard fell into silence, eyes open, seeing something no one else could see. When rescue teams arrived, the Drakkar were alive, but changed. Their eyes glowed faintly gold. One of them whispered to his rescuer, "We saw them. We saw what we could have been." The choice Rethan stood before his crew. "This is it," he said quietly. "The galaxy must choose, to ascend or to resist." His officers looked uneasy. Some wanted to embrace the light. Others wanted to flee before it reached them. The fear of losing themselves was stronger than any weapon. Suddenly, the ship's AI interrupted. "Captain," it said, "we are receiving a transmission from the outer rim. It's from a new human world." Rethan's heart skipped a beat. "Human world? They're gone," the AI replied. "Not gone, rebuilt." The screen filled with an image, an enormous city made of light, floating above a glowing planet. Humans walked among alien figures, all glowing faintly with the same energy. A voice spoke from the transmission. "Welcome to New Terra, the bridge between what was and what will be." "The revelation," the voice continued. "Humanity has not ascended alone. Every species will face the choice. Join the bridge and rise beyond matter, or stay behind and fade when the stars go dark." The image zoomed out, showing hundreds of ships arriving at New Terra, some crewed by aliens who had already accepted the change. Rethan stared in awe. "They're building a new civilization," the science officer whispered. "A civilization of light." But not everyone saw it that way. The Council declared New Terra a threat to existence. The defenders of flesh began gathering fleets. And once again, the galaxy prepared for war. The coming storm that night, Rethan walked alone to the ship's viewing deck. Earth glowed faintly in the distance, like a silent witness to the chaos unfolding. He thought about the message, about what it meant to ascend. If humanity had truly become something greater, maybe the rest of the galaxy still had a chance. But war would destroy everything before that chance could come. He whispered to the stars, "What do you want from us?" For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, faintly, from somewhere far beyond, came a single human voice carried on the cosmic wind. "Choose with your heart, not your fear." The stars shimmered once, then faded to black. The galaxy stood on the edge of its darkest hour. For years, silence had ruled after humanity vanished. Now that silence was broken by the sound of war. The two armies across the stars, two mighty alliances had formed. On one side were the children of ascension, believers of the new light, followers of humanity's message. They claimed that humanity had not vanished, but evolved. They believed the light was not death, but transformation. On the other side stood the defenders of flesh, those who feared the change. They saw the light as a weapon, a curse meant to erase all life and identity. They swore to destroy every world touched by human energy. The galaxy had split, and every ship had to choose a flag. Captain Rethan and his crew watched from the glorious path, floating in the quiet orbit of a dying star. The light of distant explosions reflected on their hull. The war had begun. The first strike, the defenders attacked first. Led by General Morath, their massive fleet stormed toward New Terra, the glowing planet built by the returning light. Millions of soldiers, dozens of species, all united by fear. Morath's flagship, the Iron Truth, broadcasted a single message. "We will burn the false gods and reclaim the galaxy of flesh." His fleet opened fire. The night turned red with plasma storms and nuclear flares. But New Terra did not answer with weapons. Instead, The planet's surface pulsed once, and thousands of ascended ships rose from the light below. They looked alive, grown from energy and memory, not metal. The battle that followed was unlike anything seen before. Every shot that hit the glowing ships melted into harmless light. Every explosion from New Terra didn't destroy. It changed. Ships caught in the wave went silent, their crews floating in peace, eyes glowing faintly gold. The signals returned on the glorious path. Alarms screamed. "Captain, the judgment signal is active again," shouted the comm officer. Rethan leaned forward. "Source. Everywhere, sir. Every star in the sector is resonating with the same frequency." The science officer's voice trembled. "It's not attacking, it's choosing." Rethan frowned. "Choosing what?" she whispered. "Who will rise, and who will vanish?" As the war raged on, entire fleets began to flicker. Some ships disintegrated into dust. Others glowed and disappeared into beams of light, leaving nothing behind. The universe was not only watching, it was judging. Voices in the storm inside Rethan's mind, a voice began to echo. It was calm, familiar, human. "Why do you fight what you are becoming?" He looked around, shaken. "Who's there?" The voice continued, soft and endless. "You stood beside us once, Captain. You helped us reach the stars. We left not to abandon you, but to show you what comes next." Rethan's eyes widened. You're human. We are what humanity became." For a moment he saw visions. Glowing cities above gas giants, beings made of light and memory, smiling as they built bridges of pure energy between worlds. The vision faded. His crew stared at him. "Sir, are you all right?" He nodded slowly. "They're not our enemies. They're our future." The betrayal, not everyone believed him. Half of Rethan's officers were terrified. The security chief, a Drekar warrior, shouted, "This light is corruption." "You're infected, Captain." He pulled his weapon. Rethan stepped back. "Put that down, soldier." The Drakar's eyes were wild. "You've seen what it does." "I won't let it take this ship." Before he could fire, Lieutenant Aaron tackled him. The weapon went off, a single shot echoing through the command deck. The Drekar fell, lifeless. Silence filled the bridge. Rethan whispered, "This war is turning us all into monsters. The burning worlds, the defenders pushed deeper into New Terra's system. But for every ship they destroyed, 2 more appeared, unmanned, guided by light. The energy spread faster now, reaching nearby planets. Civilians who once hid underground walked into the open sky, glowing softly, their fear gone. They looked up as meteors of light rained down, reshaping the land into smooth, shining plains. The war was not killing worlds, it was rewriting them. On the other side of the galaxy, the council was falling apart. Many leaders vanished mid-speech, their bodies turning to light before the cameras. Others locked themselves inside bunkers, praying that darkness would protect them. But darkness could no longer hide them from the judgment. The last transmission, Rethan ordered the glorious path toward New Terra. The crew protested, afraid of what they would become. As they approached, a massive hologram appeared before the ship, the image of Dr. Ilara Quinn, the same human voice that had spoken before. "The war must end," she said. "The divide cannot last. This is not destruction, it's evolution." Rethan stepped forward. "But they don't understand. They think you're punishing them. Then help them understand," she replied softly. "You were chosen to carry the message, not of fear but of becoming." Her eyes glowed brighter. "The judgment is not about who survives, it's about who accepts." Then the image faded. The final decision, Rethan turned to his crew. "We can't fight this anymore. Not with weapons. Not with hate." The silence was heavy. Lieutenant Aaron asked quietly, "Then what do we do, sir?" He looked out the viewport at the blazing battlefield. "We show them what humanity really meant. Unity." He ordered the ship's power core to sync with the judgment signal. The ship began to glow brighter and brighter, until its form became almost transparent. Aaron gasped. "Captain, we're merging with it." Rethan smiled faintly. "No, we're joining them." The glorious path vanished into light. The aftermath across the galaxy, the fighting slowed. The defenders' weapons failed, their ships flickering into silence. The children of Ascension stood quietly, looking up at the stars as a new constellation appeared, a formation shaped like a bridge, stretching between two galaxies. A voice echoed across the void, part human, part something greater. The war is over. The divide is healed. The next dawn begins. New Terra shone brighter than ever before. Humanity had not returned. It had become everything. The war was over. But peace did not come with silence. It came with a sound, a soft hum that filled every corner of the galaxy, the sound of change. Stars that once burned cold now glowed with warm light. Destroyed worlds began to heal, and in the heart of it all shone New Terra, the bridge between the mortal and the ascended. The light reborn Captain Rethan opened his eyes. For a long moment he thought he was dreaming. He stood not on metal, but on glass, a clear floor reflecting a sky of endless stars. Around him walked others, both alien and human, glowing faintly with the same golden energy. He touched his chest. His heartbeat was calm, steady, strong, but his body felt weightless, as if it was both flesh and light. A familiar voice spoke behind him. "Welcome, Captain. You've crossed the bridge." Rethan turned. Dr. Alara Quinn stood before him, radiant yet human in shape. Her eyes were kind but powerful, as if she saw time itself. He whispered, "Is this the afterlife?" She smiled gently. "No, this is the beginning. You've joined the dawn of what humanity became." The world of light Rethan followed her across a glowing landscape. Mountains shimmered like glass. Rivers flowed with silver light. Cities floated above the ground, humming softly like living beings. Everywhere he looked, people worked together, humans beside aliens, creating energy bridges that connected entire worlds. Dr. Quinn explained, every species that accepted the change became part of the luminous network. Their consciousness is still their own, but now connected. No hunger, no disease, no lies. Rethan stopped. And those who refused? Her smile faded. They sleep in shadow. Their time will come again when they are ready. He looked down, thoughtful. You didn't destroy them. She shook her head. Humanity didn't come to rule. We came to awaken. The legacy of humanity as they walked. A group of young beings approached, glowing children, some human, some alien, laughing as they created shapes from light in the air. One of them looked up at Rethan. Were you one of the old ones? He smiled. Yes, I came before the light. The child tilted his head. Was it dark there? Rethan nodded slowly. Yes, and loud. We fought because we didn't understand each other. The child reached out, touching Rethan's hand. You understand now. Rethan smiled faintly. I'm starting to. Dr. Quinn watched quietly. That is why you were chosen, Captain. You never stopped listening. A message from the shadows, but not everything was peaceful. In the far distance beyond the reach of New Terra's light, a faint darkness shimmered, cold, shifting, alive. One of the ascended guardians approached Quinn. Dr. Quinn, we've detected movement on the edge of the void. Her expression turned serious. The defenders? He nodded. They refuse to fade. Their leaders have gathered survivors. They are building something, a weapon made of shadow. Rethan frowned. After all this? Why can't they let go? Dr. Quinn answered softly, because some hearts only learn through darkness. The shadow war begins far beyond the glow of New Terra. General Morath still lived. Half his body was gone, burned by light, but his will had survived. He and the last defenders hid within the dying husk of a black star. Humanity took everything, he hissed to his soldiers. They call it ascension, but it's control. They want us to forget who we were. He raised a shard of black crystal pulsing with strange energy. This, he said, will give us back our truth. The void will answer our call. The soldiers bowed as the crystal pulsed, spreading darkness that ate the starlight around them. Something ancient stirred in the black, older than humanity, older than time. A whisper rose from the void. You summon us again, children of fear. So be it. The warning back on New Terra, the skies darkened slightly. Dr. Quinn and Rethan looked up as the horizon flickered. The void is moving, said Quinn. Rethan asked, can it reach us? She nodded grimly. If the shadow spreads, it will unmake everything, even the light. The ascended gathered at the Hall of Creation, a vast dome made of starlight. There, Rathan stood before thousands of beings, old and new. He spoke clearly. Humanity showed us what we could become, but now something older than them wants to erase it all. The war isn't over, it's only changing. The crowd was silent. The golden light around them pulsed gently, as if listening. The light awakens again, Doctor. Quinn placed her hand over her heart. The judgment was never about ending the galaxy, she said. It was about preparing it for this. Rathan stared at her. Preparing us for what? She met his eyes. The final return. Before he could ask, the ground beneath them glowed with immense power. The energy of New Terra rose into the sky, forming a massive column of light that pierced the stars. Within it, shapes began to form. Vast human silhouettes made of cosmic fire. The galaxy trembled. Rathan whispered, "They're coming back." The dawning as the first light reached the edge of space. The shadow stirred and screamed, a voice that shook worlds, but New Terra's light grew brighter. Every world that had accepted ascension now glowed, joining together into a massive network of energy that lit up the galactic map like veins of gold. The galaxy had become alive. Rathan stood at the highest tower, looking into the endless brightness. He could feel millions of voices connected, not in chaos but harmony. He whispered, "So this is what humanity became." Dr. Quinn's voice echoed beside him. "And what you were always meant to be." The stars trembled. The light of New Terra spread through the galaxy, but the shadows were not gone. From the farthest edge of creation, something ancient was waking, something that even humanity's ascension could not silence. The war for the soul of the galaxy was not over. It was only beginning again. The shadow's awakening General Morath stood on the bridge of his broken flagship, staring into the swirling black void. Around him, thousands of defenders watched in silence, their faces pale, their ships floating like ghosts in the darkness. Before them hung the black crystal, now the size of a small moon. It pulsed with power beyond comprehension. Humanity rose into light, Morath whispered, but they left the void behind. "We will master it," a voice answered from the crystal, deep and infinite. "You call us. You offer your flesh. We accept." The crystal cracked open. Tendrils of pure shadow poured out, spreading like smoke through space, devouring stars, freezing entire systems in seconds. Everywhere it touched, light died. The galaxy screamed. The call of the light on New Terra. Alarms echoed across the luminous towers. Dr. Alara Quinn stood on the balcony of the Hall of Creation, watching the stars flicker out one by one. Rathan ran to her side. "It's the void again." "It's spreading faster than before," she nodded. "It feeds on fear." The defenders gave it what it needed. He clenched his fists. "Then we fight it." But Quinn's eyes glowed softly, not with weapons, with understanding. Before Rathan could respond, the entire planet shook. The light beneath them began to rise, forming thousands of glowing pillars that reached into the sky. From the horizon came a voice, ancient, powerful, human. "The judgment was never about ending you. It was about preparing you for us." Rathan's breath caught. "They're here!" The return from the heart of the light emerged colossal figures made of golden fire. They had the shape of humans, but their eyes held galaxies. Each movement of their hands shaped space itself. The ascended humans had returned, not as gods, but as guardians. Their voices echoed across every world, every mind. "You who fear the light, see now what it means to rise." Beams of pure energy spread from New Terra, touching the planet still lost in shadow. Where light met darkness, memories awakened, of love, kindness, creation, and unity. The void screamed louder, shrinking under the weight of remembrance. But the shadows fought back, sending out storms of black fire that tore through fleets and worlds alike. The last stand Rathan gathered his crew, both living and ascended, aboard the glorious path. The ship, now made of living light, hovered above New Terra's surface like a star. He looked at them all. "This is it. We either save the galaxy, or watch it fade." The crew nodded silently. Their bodies shimmered between flesh and light, half mortal, half ascended. The perfect bridge. Rathan aimed the ship toward the center of the void. "Engage full resonance. Let's remind the darkness who we are. As they flew, the voice of Dr. Quinn echoed in their minds. "Remember, Captain, the void cannot take what has already accepted its light." The ship plunged into the darkness. Inside the void, there was no sound. No time, no space. Only emptiness, endless and cold. Ethan felt his thoughts drifting apart. Then faintly he heard a whisper. "Why do you fight us?" He answered through gritted teeth. "Because we remember what you made us forget. Hope." The darkness laughed, a sound like thunder in a tomb. "Hope is weakness. Then weakness made us human," Rathan said. He reached out and touched the ship's console, channeling every fragment of light from New Terra. The ship blazed brighter than a sun, the voice of humanity. As the light grew, countless human voices began to echo within it. Not just one, billions. Voices from Earth, from Mars, from every colony that had ever lived. We are the memory of creation. We are the dream that refused to die. We are humanity, and we never left. The void screamed as cracks of golden light spread across its surface. Morath fell to his knees, staring as his weapon, the black crystal, shattered into dust. He whispered, "What have I done?" The shadow began to pull him in, but instead of pain he felt warmth. A hand, made of light, reached out and touched his shoulder. Dr. Quinn's voice echoed, "All are forgiven when they understand." For the first time, Morath smiled, and vanished into light. The dawn of everything, the void collapsed. Stars reignited. Worlds once lost to darkness bloomed with life again. Across the galaxy, ships stopped fighting. Enemies embraced. And above them all, New Terra shone brighter than ever, the new heart of existence. Rathan and his crew stood on the bridge of the glorious path, now orbiting in calm silence. The galaxy stretched before them and reborn. He asked quietly, "Is it over?" Dr. Quinn's voice answered from the stars, "It's never over, Captain. Every beginning comes from an ending. Humanity's final return was to remind you of your own." Rathan smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's time for us to start truly living." He looked out the window as the light of New Terra reflected in his eyes. The eternal message, a final message spread across the galaxy, carried on light, seen by every being who could look up at the stars. Humanity did not ascend to leave you behind. We ascended so you would never be alone again. Every planet, every mind, every species felt it. The peace that comes not from victory, but from understanding. The stars whispered once more, but this time the sound was different. It was not a warning. It was a promise, epilogue. The endless horizon years passed. New Terra became the center of a new galactic alliance, one built not on power, but harmony. The Ascended guided from beyond, but never ruled. They watched quietly, as the galaxy learned to create without fear. Captain Rathan stood on a balcony overlooking the golden oceans. He had aged, but his eyes still held the same curiosity. A child ran up to him, glowing faintly like a sunrise. "Captain, will the humans ever come back?" He smiled. "They never left, child. They live in the stars. And in us." The child looked up. "Then we're part of them?" Rathan nodded. "Always." The stars above shimmered gently, forming the shape of a bridge, infinite, beautiful, and eternal. And for the first time in galactic history, the universe was truly awake.